Hi everybody, welcome to a kind of vinyl video. Really I'm here to talk about the IFI Zen PHONO, which IFI was kind enough to send over. And here it is, and it's $150, and it doesn't have MQA because, for the love of fucking God, they haven't figured out how to shove MQA in vinyl yet and then charge us for it. I'm sure it's coming. And I said yes to reviewing a PHONO preamp. Actually, someone said, hey, you should do this. And I'm like, why? You know, I've had 5 or 6 PHONO preamps in the past, and it's like, yeah, they all sound pretty similar. They're all in the same price range. Nothing's doing an exceptional job. I'll explain what a PHONO preamp does real quick. This is a turntable. Actually, I'm going to sort of make this a combination review of the U-Turn Orbit, which, Mauricio, if you're out there, if you want this back, please contact me. This was brought to me by a fan like 3 years ago, and I haven't seen him since. Well, I've seen him a couple times since, but evaporated into the winds. So if he's out there, hello. Stock needle, very basic design. Adjustable feet, rotate. This one does not have the PHONO preamp built in. Decent adjustability. It's a little bit like crude. It's like just unscrew this and wiggle it around. There's no like click, click, click notching. If I make this into my vinyl video, because everyone's been waiting for the vinyl video, I'm gonna go off on a big rant tangent, and I only have 70% of this battery on my head, so that's not gonna work. So, basics of vinyl, of turntables, of records, is analog pits and lands in a V, and then the needle wiggles around, and then the actual stylus is probably the most important part of the whole fucking system. Fuck you. But it's nice if you have the adjustability to control where that is and the weight on it and all that, great. And as far as like spinning it in a consistent manner, that's easy. It's 2021. We have microchip controllers that are very precise. So there is a little bit in the way of like making it spin where there's no noise, in so you have a bushing or your needle that it floats on, a magnetic fucking magic air. Point is, this is a nice piece of wood that comes. This one is actually more money because it's a special edition, because it actually is a nice piece of wood. The other ones are painted. There's absolutely no sound difference, I don't believe. On-off switch here. You change the belt that's going around the giant acrylic platter from 33 to 45 RPM, or I think it's, yeah, 33 the small, 45 big. I bought this Audio Technica level because one of the things that I like about vinyl, because I'm going to get into a little bit why I actually do like, I hate it, but I like it. I hate the community that's been built around it, because I think a lot of them, the ones I don't like, there's people I love that have vinyl. Pasta loves vinyl, and I love her, and she loves vinyl. But there's people who are just obsessive, crazy fuckers, and I want to push them into the sea. But there's a middle ground where everyone can be happy. So one of the things I like about vinyl in general is that it's very physical. This is a spinning disc. Cool. Giant spinny thing. There's a needle. Sometimes there's diamonds on those needles. Ooh, Minecraft. Diamonds are hard to find. And then there's all sorts of adjustability and tools, and I have a whole box over here of things you use to align and level and there's a little weight scale here so I can weigh how many milligrams the needle is pushing down on the vinyl, because you don't want it to wear out excessively, and you know you got a little weight to check and everything. So it's very physical. It's much like building a ship in a bottle. You know, you don't need a ship in a bottle. Nobody needs the little tweezers and they build the little ship in the bottle. They don't need to do that, but it's cool when you're done and you're proud of it. So me with vinyl, I bought all these big giant 2-foot tiles, or 18-inch tiles, so that I could level it and try to prevent the vibrations from coming to the floor. By the way, this is the first vinyl setup I've ever set up on a concrete floor. And I can tell you immediately it makes a difference. So anyone who's talking to you about vinyl and vinyl and vinyl and vinyl, if they're not setting it up on a concrete floor, they are fucking failing. Just start pouring concrete on your carpets, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, I'm way off topic already, and I didn't want to go there. Spinny spin spin, needle touch. These little wires that come out go to RCA cables on the back of the unit. This particular unit does not have a ground plug. Some of them have RCAs and a ground, some of them don't. A lot of times when they don't, they have a built-in PHONO preamp. This does not have the ground connection on any way. I would flip it over, but it would just fall apart, so I'm not going to do that. So it's just RCA cables out, and it's got a power transformer in. It spins the record. Everything's joyous. You lower it down with this. The stylus has now touched the vinyl. The RCA cables are being charged from this. The way this works, the way a phono preamp works, and this is absolutely 100% not accurate because I haven't taken the time to give a shit to really like watch Technology Connections. I'm sure he talked about it. But there's no power in this. This has to send power, I think, or it's sending out enough, and then it's reading what's coming back. So that's why a phono preamp is sort of doing that. Like you can plug these RCAs directly into speakers or amplifiers. In this case, I'm using the vintage Marantz monoblocks into these Klipsch RB81 2s. And I'm controlling it with this big this was it a knob sound? This was on Amazon. It's not anymore. And it is just a dedicated, powered, relay clickifying just preamplifier. And the reason I'm using this is because the reason I asked for this is it has a balanced output. And I've never used a phono preamp with a balanced output before. So yes, I will do that. The front of the unit, power here, so you can turn it off. I don't think I've ever known anyone to turn off their phono preamp. Anybody? I mean, there's a little amplifier in here and it has a little bit of draw, but it's not like enough to concern yourself. So you turn it on. It has 4 lights here indicating which mode. It blinks for a bit and then it eventually locks on. And it takes a good 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What are my run times are so high on this channel? I don't even, there you go. So MC high, MC low, MC very low. So a moving magnet is the type of stylus. You can change this out to be a moving magnet, which is doing things, to a moving coil, which is more expensive. The type of pickup and how it's converting motion into electricity can be changed from moving magnet to moving coil. This will handle both types. Unfortunately, the switch on the back here is 1 through 4, and moving magnet only has 1 gain setting, and then moving coil has 3 different gain settings for that little switch. And I'd love if this had a little bit more gain to like give on just moving magnet. It's not bad, but I've maxed this out like that with those monoblocks on these relatively efficient speakers. There are some moments when it's like vinyl, and then I realize, don't let your brain do that to you. Because I'm a hobbyist and I like mechanical things, so of course this is going to sound better than a fucking FLAC file. Look at it, it's spinning. Not going there, despite the wallpaper that I've chosen that is available in the description. By the way, you want to support this channel, or tell me I suck, Patreon and Subscribe Star, linked in the description and the top comment. Okay. Just getting that out because I'm sure people have already left or they're just so angry. Turntable spins, picks up needle. This talks to the needle, basically. I'm just making it ELI 5. This tells the needle, hey, what are you doing? And the needle goes, ooh, and it comes back here. And then it applies an RIAA curve. And now this is something you definitely want to go to Technology Connections and learn about. Basically, the actual audio that's on the disc has been fucked because it's a physical medium and it just can't be full range. It can't move 20,000 hertz and it can't have low end as low. By the way, you know that all bass is mono on a turntable? I've heard this spec once and I've never heard it repeated, but someone can confirm that 150 hertz and below is mono on all vinyl pressings, because of the way the groove is. If a bass note was just right channel, it would throw the needle out of the groove. That's what I've heard. So they make anything that's super low end, that's a big long wave that would physically move the needle, mono. Just one of those things that might be why mono sounds better to some people. Most bass in all music is mono to a certain extent, but you just can't. You can't physically do that. Also, there's no way to, I guess you could over-record vinyl, it would just move the needle really terribly. There'd be no dynamic range. Anyway, back to this thing's job. So this is recorded with a really fucked up curve that would not sound very good at all. And what the phono preamp is designed to do is use that RIA curve or the reverse of it to repair the signal coming off the vinyl and then get it amplified to a voltage that another amplifier or preamp can use to power speakers. So basically, it's a preamp before a preamp before an amp. Now, this could all be one unit. I could have gotten the Loxg A30 is back in stock. I will link that because that's exciting. Where's my thingy? There's this, by the way, $150 for the Zen PHONO, which is like perfect. It's perfectly fine. I completely accept $150. You can get cheaper preamps. There's like little dots and stuff, little bears. But $150 for one that sounds as good as this, and it does its job. All it's got to do is its job, and the fact that this does its job with balanced output and a subsonic filter, which we haven't gotten to yet. Here's a Loxg, $185.99. Currently in stock, and it has analog inputs, and that's all you need to know, and a subwoofer out, and a power speakers, and it's up in my bedroom. But now back to this. So, moving magnet, moving cartridge, 4.4 Pentacon output. In case you couldn't tell from the back, there isn't exactly enough room for full-size XLRs. Here are the inputs from the turntable. There's a set of RCAs someone made for me. There is a ground terminal here that would normally get hooked up to the turntable. This turntable does not have a ground output. It's the whole thing about things. So what I have is down there, you see that white brick? There is the IFI, is it called the Groundhog? I forget what it's actually called, IFI power conditioner, and it just plugs into the wall, and it's got a plug in the back that's basically a banana plug for like a speaker wire. And that's why I have a mica speaker wire plugged into this, plugged into that, which is grounding out the whole thing. And it kind of doesn't need to be there. If I unplug this, I don't think we get... do that occasionally. I have to undust this record, but I'm just doing that because I can't do it to this, and I'm doing it to that because it's doing it to that, even though that's a transformer. It only doesn't have a balance. Here's your RCA outputs that if you wanted to just go RCA out like normal preamps, and here, which is this is down, right? Is a 4.4 Pentacon Yukumu cable that turns into full-size XLRs, and this particular balanced preamp here that I'm using converts from XLR to RCA and RCA to XLR internally, and I'm powering this with this beautiful, I gotta link this in the description. This is a hospital grade 15-foot gray power cable, and it's got beautiful clear ends, and it was monoprice, and I like it. I got a 15-footer so I could deal with it on the table. That's all you gotta know. I'm just gonna link another power cable. That power cables don't matter, but if they're built really nice and they're designed to work in an oxygen-rich environment and not kill you, I'll link that. And then I have, of course, so this comes in, we got XLRs into this, RCAs out of this. I'm using these 6-foot world's best RCAs. They're going over to each one of the Marantz. Those are the MA700 monoblocks. The MA700 monoblocks are then feeding the Klipsch RB812s, and the vinyl setup is complete. This is so much simpler than just getting a Bluetooth speaker and yelling at Alexa to play whatever. So much better. The mother never danced to fire shower. Wait. Walk in the rain. I can't play too much more. This, by the way, is the Cowboy Bebop vinyl that I bought 2 of. Ripped one of the things completely apart, hung the artwork on my cellar steps down. I'll link to that as well, because if you're gonna test, at least this is a modern pressing that isn't garbage. And yes, I know it's colored vinyl, and there's purists out there right now gagging because it's like, oh my god, it's not black. That means the pigments are affecting the sound quality, and I don't know how that works. But this at least is well recorded. I'll say that. I got that Interstellar one, and I was hoping it'd be good, but it was like pressed with a broken soda can. Someone was in an alleyway just etching it with a fucking Coke can. So, what am I talking about? Because I feel like I could just end this video, and I've given you enough information that I'm satisfied. Phono preamp does balanced versus RCA. Is there a difference? Well, balance number 1 is almost always a higher voltage, which can help. A lot of times phono preamps, give you the 2 volts out of RCA, but it's never enough, and your amplifier sort of like it wants more, and even out of balance with, I think the conversion in this might be actually hurting it a little bit. But I think that alone is worth to get this over a normal thing. But then again, I also had to go shuffle around and find an amplifier because I have power amps. I've got like Behringers and I don't have any free Crowns, but those are like the only speaker amps that I have with balanced inputs. Really, that's about it. So do you need the balanced? Question that, number one. I think that's a nice feature. I think the real nice feature about this is the subsonic filter I said I'd get back to, which when you are playing a record, since it's physical, if there's warble, if it's warped, if it goes up and down, this should be, and I didn't go through my entire vinyl library to check this out, but you can turn it on and off and you can see if it helps. It's a bass cut, but not a stupid bass cut, a smart bass cut, where if it's an actual warp and it's doing this, and this will detect that and be like, okay, we're going to block that from happening. And it should be able to do that without damaging if there is low notes on actual music. Because this can be as smart as fucking humanly possible. And I know for a fact IFI can dick around with analog circuitry, like X-Bass and 3D effects that are in the analog realm, and it blows my fucking mind. So whatever technology they're putting that ahead with, this is being put through the subsonic filter. So I turn this up. Wait. Hold on. Try to get... my needle skipping. I am lacking in all of the things. I shouldn't have left this down here all night. Let's go down to a better song. We're down low. If you listen carefully. That is the actual needle. You're hearing the sound of it bouncing around. That is the music happening in there. That's why those old school ones with the big fucking horn on it literally just took the needle and shook a thing, and that shook the thing, and it came up a thing, and it came out louder. They were terrible. But if you ever were like lost on a desert island and you only had the record player and nothing else, you could spin it with your hand and put your ear against the needle, and in the quietest of nights you could listen to your favorite song. Of course, this is amplifying that turning that into electricity, which is coming into here, which is turning into bigger electricity, which is turning into here, which is being controlled and turning into there. It's even bigger electricity going to there, and then we have... So the subsonic filter on this brand new vinyl, not doing much, but that's good. If I turned it on and all of a sudden it's like, well, where'd the bass go? That would mean the subsonic filter is not doing its job properly. Now, if I would have to get it up on a like crappy, I'd have to put a subwoofer up here on the table to do this with it, because this is bad. These vibrations are going through the table, through this big heavy tile, through the rubber feet, into the plate, and then into the spindle, and then into the vinyl. And if I turn this up, here. Boom, 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 boom. So that is with the subsonic filter on, and now this is with it off. So it's still like, do you understand the flaws in vinyl? There's so fucking many. But people love it. And I love it. At some point I put this on and it feels more special than just loading it up on Fubar and being like, I love this song. And next song. And next song. Oh, tags are wrong. You have to sit down and you have to play it. And you can legitimately see the grooves where the different tracks are. And you could lift up the needle, which, oh, nope. I want to hear this track. I think that's the lined up, and you lower it down and it's like, oh, I'm 20 seconds into the fucking song. There's something very, very wrong with the inside of this. In fact, I'm going to turn that off. I have to give this like a bath. I know everyone's freaking out right now. Relax. Ooh, there's static buildup on this. That's bad. I know there's those guns that you shoot at. Anybody have one of those? I was tempted to buy one. It's literally a gun that you shoot at the thing and it removes bad negative ions. Because there's like I used a brush on it, and I think we're good now. But static electricity builds up on a spinning thing. And this is a very sensitive piece of electronics that has power running into it to pick up motions and little microset. So, of course, static electricity is going to back up into the fucking needle and you hear pops and cracks, and that's part of it. There's so much that can go wrong that when you finally get vinyl right, of course you're proud of it. Of course you're proud of it. By the way, that belt's very, very loose, which is why it takes like 6 hours to spit up. But it's like, I just want people who are super duper into vinyl to just step back and say, yeah, look, it's a pain in the ass. But when you get it working, it's a wonderful hobby. I just want it to be a hobby. And I think that most hobbies should have a price limit for sanity's sake. All right? I have no problem with people spending, $2,000 on everything. You got the record player, you got the preamp, you got whatever phono preamp, you got the speakers. You maybe if you have $20,000 speakers, you spend $2,000 on the turntable and all shit. It's fine. But when people are spending $10,000 for just the arm, just the tone arm, see this thing, because it's different densities. Oh, it's carbon fiber. Oh, it's filled with helium. It's like maybe it's such a flawed system to begin with that you shouldn't be pushing that sort of bullshit around, because that's what it is. Like, yeah, there'll be a sound difference, and it could be even measurable, like even more measurable than like MQA's fucking sound difference. But different doesn't mean you have to spend money. I could just take this off of here and bring it to my drill press and drill fucking holes in it, and it'll be lighter and less stiff, and maybe the waves it'll do will change the way it sounds, and maybe I could claim that that's great, and then I'll charge $8,000 to do that to your fucking thing, and that's what happens. It's too expensive. It's not that complicated a piece of equipment. You can get a $50 record player that's modern, and as long as the spindle is, not complete garbage, it'll spin consistently at the right speed. If it's not heavy enough, you could add weights to it. The adjustability of this is more like what it takes. Because sometimes I have a turntable over there that has nothing. It's put it on there, drop it. You can't adjust the angle of it this way. You can't adjust the weight on the back of it, so how much the needle is pressing down on the vinyl. There's other things that need to be installed in this to, do it correctly. And I think still, honestly, the stylus itself, because that is the most finite little bullshit. If you want to spend $300, $400, $500, $600 on something, spend it on just that. Get a $100 turntable and put a $500 fucking stylus on it. And you'll have more improvement than if you bought a $1,000 turntable with the $200 stylus on it. Because that's the most important fucking bit right fucking there. And then you just set it up right with the little levels and the guides and the needles. Borrow them from a friend. Where was I? Turntable's fine. The belt's loose. It needs an extra belt. Let me drop this back down. I love this album, and it honestly just feels better playing it on vinyl, because I feel like in the bebop universe, this would be the coolest fucking thing ever. And this thing works as advertised, flawlessly. I've had no issues with it. Do I think the balanced adds like another dimension of sound and everyone should have it? Not really, not in particularly. In fact, it was even a pain in the ass for me, Zeos, to set up in his basement because I don't have the amplifiers for it. If you have a preamp with balanced inputs and you have, nothing to do with them, this would be an amazing little thing. Just chuck in there. And it's a little bragging rights thing too. A lot of vinyls somehow bragging rights. It's like, hey, you don't have a balanced phono preamp? You just make that sound at them. I would probably keep this just for that. Actually, almost more importantly, is you could use the RCAs and the balance out at the same time. So you could hook up, actually, can I hook up the balance output of this to the bottom of my Zoom recorder, set it to line, and then record vinyl into a digital format? Because if you do it right, if you're recording without pops and clicks, it's pretty fucking solid. It's a good way to listen to vinyl. I don't think you could even tell it apart if I did a real test where I blindfolded someone and had the record playing, and then I also had a digital player with the digital recording of the vinyl playing, and then I switched A/B. I don't think you could tell the difference. Have you recorded all the faults that vinyl contains into a high enough digital format, 24:192 or 24:96 FLAC? I'm pretty sure you can't audibly tell the difference. Possibly not even with measuring equipment, because if you're trying to measure if you measure a one-time live playback and you recorded a one-time live playback and you just compared those two, they'd obviously be different because, the fucking weather changed, the humidity made the disc warp, and there's dust where there wasn't dust yesterday. Pretty sure you would be able to tell the difference. Again, this is getting into the vinyl video that I didn't want to do. This is just to be this is just me reviewing this IFI PHONO, Zen PHONO, and it's great. It looks good. I like the functionality. It's got a power button, which no one's going to use. It's got the subsonic filter, which I think works pretty well. I haven't had any, I've had vinyls where they're like, why are the speakers doing that? And that is what that's supposed to cut out. It's super well, it's just nice to look at and hold. I like the fact that it'll fit in the entire stack. This thing you obviously can't buy. And I don't even know if there is a replacement for it yet.
The way you make me smile, the way you make me love you when you're shy.
The little clicks and pops. I'm too old. Wait, no, I'm too young to have lived through the nostalgic era of vinyl. That's number one. But I'm not too old to think it's some terrible fucking thing that's just crowding up space. My problem with vinyl is I don't want to say the community, because the community is grand and everyone could be very happy with it. It's when I go to audio shows and it's just the pretentiousness of vinyl. The excess, the $200,000 turntables, I want to just break them with a fucking chainsaw.
I see them now. Yes, I see them now.
Little diamonds. It's I hope you could understand. I'm just trying to get you to my fucking feelings in this. On recording to go onto my main channel to be referenced for the future. I'm okay with vinyl. I don't love it. I can't not enjoy music unless it's on this format. But I personally have a vendetta against assholes selling you on fucking lies. That's it. And the most classic fucking place for that is not audio shows in general. It's the vinyl sections of audio shows. So if you're just buying the $500 turntable, the $250 turntable, and the $500 stylus, and you're leveling it and you're doing, that's fine. That's the correct way to have this be a hobby. You get a decent phono preamp. You don't need to spend $20,000 on one. Its job is not that hard. This thing's job is not that hard, and $150 is perfect amount of money to spend on something that does this job. Whatever you put after this, whatever the phono preamp and the amplifiers, look, I could have Turkish tubed these, but I'm like, that's too much wonk. Because vinyl's already very analog and sort of free flowing. It's hippie quality. It's gonna be clean and accurate, but it's also all right, whatever. But I'm gonna push it into the tubes. I could have done it. I could still do it. I could fucking swap wires. But I didn't, so I went the vintage Japanese into the American, although I don't know if these are made in America. This review is coming up soon, by the way. Made in China. Now, these are not old enough or new enough, because the newer Eclipse stuff is made in America again, down in Hope, Arkansas. I need to stop before I have heart palpitations, because I'm holding myself back from just screaming, and at the same time, I'm trying to respect vinyl as a format because there is a space for it. I didn't buy this turntable. A fan brought it over, but if I didn't have this, I would have absolutely pursued. I wanted to get an Oracle turntable because I fixed an Oracle turntable at a friend's house, and it was a 25-year-old unit, and it worked fucking flawlessly for 25 years. Beautifully built up in Canada, I believe. And when I went to RMAF back in 2018, they had an entry-level Oracle turntable. It's $2,300, but it's got it looks cool. This is very it's a piece of wood and it sits there and it's got the lid. By the way, I did specifically ask people, Germans, when I was at RMAF the year after that, should you play the vinyl with the lid down? Never, because the spinning and the motion will generate static electricity, and it can just go out. But if you contain it under the plastic lid while it's spinning, bad news bears. That's when shit gathers in the disc. That's when it goes into the fucking thing and you get a pop, and it could be a loud pop, so don't do that. But Oracle makes this beautiful, weird shape, and it's made out of aluminum with fucking plexiglass sandwich in the middle, and it's lit, so it's like a lit fucking outside, and it's a basic thing. It just has to have a nice fucking bearing and a motor, and it's fucking sex. And I wanted them to send me that, and they never got back to me. Because I told them, I will use this, and I'll put it in the corner of my then apartment, now basement, on a concrete fucking floor, which has no base. That's my favorite part, by the way. Look at that. You know how hard that would be to do in my old apartment? Or upstairs, for that matter? By the way, thank you for supporting this channel on Patreon and Subscribestar, because I guarantee you I'm playing just enough of this music that it's going to be like, oh, copyright, no money for you. So thank you very much.
Africa, Mexico, Sicily, Tijuana.
God, the jazz, funk, fucking Cowboy Bebop soundtrack. There's something about it that it needs to be on vinyl. All right, I'll admit that. I'll admit that. If there was ever an album or a pieces of music that you should have on a disc with static and pops and old school, and this is the one. The other one upstairs, different color. IFI, you sent me this. Thank you very much. If I can hold on to this, I will use it. Because the only other one I have that's readily available, and the one I've had for years, is this Emotiva XPS-1 Gen 2, which I got, and you could see, here's the difference. The IFI is meant to be seen and looked at and used, whereas you can just tell the Emotiva, because the inputs and outputs are on opposite sides of basically what they used to use for their remote controls, and you have your moving magnet, moving coil, and you have your different gain switches or dip switches, and there's your... This is not designed to be like front and center on your unit. You're supposed to tuck this away behind something and never see it. Whereas the IFI is definitely like, that is something you should be proud of and look at. And this is more of like the backstage, Velcro on the back, glue it up to your table. It just has a job to do. You know, whoop, right in and out. So that's the kind of ones I've been looking at in the past. I actually have a Little Bear one, but it's a tube phono pre. Because anything that's an amp can be a tube amp. So why not? And then I'm like, well, that was a cheap one, so that was like 40 bucks. And I don't even think I've tested it extensively enough to give your opinion on it. But yeah, if you can amplify something, you can tube amplify something. And that'll add another, imagine adding another layer of wonk from analog to a wonky tube phono pre to just a preamp maybe with tubes, and then tube amps on tubes, and speakers that instead of actual cones, they're just tubes, just filled with glass. Be great. Anyway, I'm running out of words, so I'm going to end this. I want to have the discussion continued not only here on YouTube, but on the forums that I am partially responsible for birthing through my birth canal. Hi-Fi Guides. If you haven't been to the Hi-Fi Guides forum, please go there now. There is a vinyl section, and if there isn't a vinyl section by the time I rewatch this video, you bet your ass there'll be a vinyl section tomorrow. Or, well, by the time this video comes out. If you're a patron, it'll be tomorrow. By the way, patrons and subscribers get to see all these videos early. So if you want to be one of those people with the top comments, odds are if you post it 5-6 days before the rest of the world and it gets upvoted, it stays there. So don't forget to be a patron or subscriber. $5 a month lets you do that. I also let you participate in the yard sales. So anything that I get from companies or anything that I purchase personally to review, or anything that people donate to the channel, like Mauricio and this turntable, please don't be dead. Don't be dead. It's always a concern of mine when I don't hear from someone for like 3 years. It's like, did you die? There was a lot of bad shit happened in the last 3 years in the world. So hook me up with, you know, where you at. But things like that, go in the yard sale from the 1st to the 10th of every month. I will sell things. I've got too much shit. Buy it from me in the yard sales. So from the 1st to the 10th of every month, I sell things to my supporters, and I pay for shipping if it's continental United States, and if it's international, you pay for half of the shipping. So if you're in Bangladesh and you really, really want a set of Fluon speakers, then you pay half of the shipping, whatever the hell that shipping would be, and it'd probably be a lot. I haven't shipped to Bangladesh. Did I ship to Bangladesh? Been doing yard sales for a while. I may have shipped to Bangladesh. Anyway, also, wallpaper. Very, very angry dog girl. Doog. She's got a doog in blood. Smoke. Hashtag smoke. Don't know. Artist is actually in the upper right-hand corner. If you ever want to find the artist for the wallpapers I use, SauceNow or iqdb.org. Well, you could reverse image search images, and sometimes it works. That's the best I could give you guys. I'm done here. I need to go get a drink, possibly alcoholic. I feel like vinyl is one of those, you put this on, and unlike with just a computer or a Spotify playing, you have to get up. Your lazy ass can't just stay there for 6 hours on your giant bouncy ball, hippie bastard, because you got about 20 something, what is it, 27 minutes before that needle hits the middle and it does the and you don't want that. That's bad. It's wearing out the needle. Needles wear out. Records wear out. You can play our same record 2,000 times. It does not sound the same at play 100 as it does at play 900 as it does at play 1700. Because it's physically right. It's pushing into the over and over. And putting the right weight on the needle can affect how fast it wears it out, but it always wears out. That's why those laser readers were a thing. It would actually shoot a laser into the thing and measure the I like vinyl because it's exciting technology. It's way too overpriced sometimes. Oh God, is it getting stuck on this? I think it's getting stuck on the arm. Yeah, the arm is not going down enough. That's what the felt was. See? Where am I? Who am I? There. The owner had put this piece of felt on it. And I was like, or does this come with it? But like, I liked it being clear. Okay, I'm fucking losing my mind going, what the fuck is wrong? And see, this is the shit that makes the vinyl good, sort of. So it's got a beautiful acrylic thing, and it had this felt on it. I'm like, I don't like it. It keeps building up static on this. But what it doesn't not do is it doesn't not raise it up off the plate enough so that now the little lifter guide, when the lifter guide falls down, it can fall past it because this is now up higher, because there's a geometry aspect of it. I love physics. Physics are a reason to love vinyl. So let's go back to the inside of the disc, because it was happening on the inside of the disc because it was riding up that. We did it! We did it, ladies and gentlemen. Because it was hitting that, and it literally didn't have enough groove, and it wasn't moving over because it wasn't laying in it because it was hitting. Do you understand the fucking problems with vinyl? And sometimes they're fun. And that's the end of my vinyl review. If I want to yell more about it, please tell me by subscribing on Subscribestar and paying me to yell, because the meds they're going to give me are going to be very expensive. So I'll see you guys in 2 days. And I forgot to complain about one thing else about vinyl. When the needle is on the outside, on the first track, it's covering a lot more ground than if it's on the inside track. So your resolution goes down for the inside. So all the best tracks are always the very first tracks. So you don't get a consistent quality across the entire thing. Every time it rotates, it's covering less and less inches of material instead of it covering, I forget what it is, like 40 inches of that if you rolled it on a table. Now you've got like 12 inches. It's like an insanely high amount of loss by the time it gets to the middle. So it literally, there's not enough, it has to slow the music down. Well, it has to spread the music into smaller areas, which means it can't have more detail. It's another fucking vinyl problem. You don't get that on a CD. It's just the same quality through and through. You can get 100% quality front to back. And the inside tracks, now that's in your head, if you would like, I like vinyl, now it's in your head to go, wait, you're right. It's covering less ground on the inside track than it is out here. Oh, fuck, because it's not changing the speed of the thing as it turns. It's just less quality. It's less. towards the inside. So that's why really, really good vinyl, like the crazy good, has 2 tracks. Only the outside 2 tracks. And even the second track is slightly less quality than the first. And the first fucking spin. Goodbye. Goodbye again. Sorry to do that to you, but that's what I had to do.